Hello and welcome to the Miraculous Lightworkers channel, your go-to place for all things about lightworkers and enlightenment. Today, we're going to be reading the October 11th, is that correct? Yep, October 11th entry from Daily Meditations for Practicing the Course by Karen Casey. This one is about the real world. Opening statement says, "The memory of our home never left us." The script says, "Not all memories give us pleasure, and we sometimes dwell on those that injured our bodies or our spirits. It's never beneficial to dredge up the painful past because it distorts the present. A good habit to form is whenever we think about yesterday or before, give the moment instead to thoughts of God. We'll feel instantly healed of the past trauma if we refuse to let its memory linger. There's one memory that never hurts us. That's the memory of the real world, a place of love, peace, and joy, presided over by God. Fortunately, we can't forget this memory, not for long anyway. The ego tries to damage it, but our ties to God's world through the Holy Spirit in our minds can't be severed completely. Knowing that the Holy Spirit is always there waiting for our safe return softens the blows we encounter in this world." The closing affirmation says, "I will remember home today if trouble begins to brew." So I really love this particular entry here because it is such a powerful reminder of the essence that's inside of us, the light that's a part of us that cannot really ever be taken completely away from us, no matter how good we are at distorting it and trying to hide it, trying to forget about it, or how we do this to other people. Ego's a really tricky little creature sometimes. So not all memories give us pleasure, and we sometimes dwell on those that injured our bodies or our spirits. Okay, so I've been looking at and dealing with a lot of childhood trauma, dealing with the inner child, trying to process those ancient wounds and sort of um, giving some analysis to that in terms of how the Course in Miracles works. Because I've done a lot of talk therapy in my life, and I found it to be really helpful, but there's a different take on this. So a lot of people instantly, when they're having like a mental crisis, and I'm not saying this is wrong at all, but the first thing they think is, I need a psychiatrist, I need to go to a shrink, I need to get my head fixed, I need to get somebody to give me medication, etc. Again, I'm not judging anybody. What I'm saying is that there's an alternative that has a lasting healing value. So that's what this is really about. It says the reading is about the real world, but it's essentially really about healing and how we can really stand in the way of our own healing. But spirit wouldn't have it that way. So, and this is a really interesting thing. I've gone over this with a lot of people throughout my life. I've always been really interested in psychology and talked to people about how, you know, some people say we spend our entire life trying to recover from what happened to us as children, where we get these initial ideas and diluted sort of paradigms about the way we are, the way the world is, why certain things happened. And there's, no end to the fracturing of the stories or the perspectives that one can get on it. So this is where it gets another level of interesting, though. It's never beneficial to dredge up the painful past because it distorts the present. So Our minds are really preoccupied with trying to hang on to, process, reinvigorate the past. And it's to our detriment most of the time because we can't really be in touch with what's going on in this now moment. We cannot appreciate this moment in our experience. We'll take it for granted. We won't be grateful because we're busy with sort of trying to breathe more life into a situation that is not healed, essentially. But the real healing comes down to giving it over to real thoughts. So, what we have is a lot of this distorted thinking about the way that we believe a situation went down, and it hurts us, and it hurts the people around us. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that statement: if you don't heal your wounds and traumas, you'll bleed on people that didn't cut you. That's pretty much what it comes down to. You'll end up hurting people, hurt people, right? The Course in Miracles is all about healed people, heal people. You'll feel it's incumbent upon you if you come to that point where you realize that you've made the breakthrough, that you have to turn around because there's people that are still drowning, and you got to throw back the life rafts, the flotation, whatever. You got to help people out of that because so many people are drowning in their sorrow and confusion. So I totally love this because it's like this reminder of home. And when I sink into that experience, it's really blissful. It's really a peaceful thing. When you're not lost in the supposed, the world that we give reality, your true nature is always at home. And it's a really beautiful experience because there's no pain in that. The place from whence forth your spirit has come is it's nothing but peace. Good habit to form is whenever we think about yesterday or before, give the moment instead to thoughts of God. This is where the ego gets involved because it doesn't want you to give your thoughts to God, right? Because if you're giving your thoughts to God, you're denying its reality essentially, because both can't be true. Ego is something we create, our story, our bias. That's not the part of us that God, He sees the truth in us, no matter how much we try to distort what He made. So it's a really odd sort of reality that we end up in. Will feel instantly healed of past trauma if we refuse to let its memory linger. This is so the opposite of modern westernized psychology, which says, no, we need to dredge it up and we need to talk about it a whole bunch so that you can be absolved of it. Again, I'm not judging anybody. I've gone through a lot of psychiatrists, counselors, etc., to help me to feel stable and happy. And the talk therapy, the healing factor of it had a lot more to do with connecting with another human being in that now moment. Because if I'm not careful, I can still revisit things that look like trauma, right? And give it a whole entire life that it doesn't need to have, painting people as villains and heroes and victims. And this is what we do. All the world's a stage and we're all just players in it, right? Thank you, Shakespeare. we bend and bow to make ourselves small. It's really strange. And that's the universal human experience. Okay, there's one memory that never hurts us. That's the memory of the real world, a place of love, peace, and joy presided over by God. the world that we create for ourselves requires an extreme amount of effort to try and bring God into it. But the world in which God is presiding over requires no effort at all. We walk into it, doors wide open, key is not even required. We are the key. We walk through, and it's a very blissful experience, but we always walk back out. It's a really odd thing, but the longer you can figure out how to stay in that state of truth, the more capable you'll be of ushering in that peace and bringing it back, and bringing other people through with you to stay in that place longer. So, yes, fortunately, we can't forget this memory. Not for long, anyway. Ego tries to damage it, but our ties to God's world through the Holy Spirit in our minds can't be severed completely. There's this place in you that remembers your Creator, like at a cellular level, in your core. You cannot completely separate yourself, no matter what the ego tells you about how separated you are here in the world, that you're this autonomous entity that can walk through the world, creating and destroying as you wish. God's a part of your beautiful creations, the ones that are true. And you know, it's like there's this resonant frequency in you that remembers God. It really does. If you get down to it, it's there. And it's the most peaceful experience, because otherwise you feel like you're going it alone. You can't remember who walks beside you. You can't remember who supports you. You can't recall that coming into this incarnation, there's powerful spirit around you, guiding you, helping you, encouraging you. But most of the time we just shut it off. Knowing that the Holy Spirit is always there waiting for our safe return softens the blows we encounter in this world. So we come back out of that state of perfect peace and contentment, and we try to do the ego thing in the world, because that's how we've all sort of been trained into doing it, right? But it's very easy to go back through that door when you enter through the altar of your heart, through your spirit. The Holy Spirit will give you a different perspective on everything. And so you have these holy instant moments where you're like, oh my gosh, that's how easy it was to shift into this different state of consciousness and awareness, and hold that sacred space for everybody around me. And I really hope that if this resonates with you, that you are blessed with more moments like that today, tomorrow, in the future, now, where you can settle into that place of home where you never left, deny the temporary nature of the death and the destruction and all those things that are not supposed to be part of our reality, right? God didn't create us to die, but we die because we've exited that space to have this incarnation where we're experiencing what it's like to be in separation. This is what it's like to go it alone. It's not peaceful. It's contentious. It's frustrating, right? It's many things that are not of God. God didn't want that for us. But until we get to a place where we no longer choose for the negativity, and we really anchor in that peace and that sense of home to where we can carry it with us, we're going to have more of the same. So I'll give you that closing affirmation one more time before I let you go. I will remember home today if trouble begins to brew. So I hope that if anything crosses your mind that doesn't feel like peace, that you settle into that, and your mantra is just home. That you can settle into that space where you just remember the reality of your reality. So thank you for joining. If you found this video interesting, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think of these concepts. I'll answer all the comments. And thank you for your interest and your time. Truly appreciate it. Join us next time for more info and interaction as we uplift, enlighten, and ascend together.